In the heart of ancient Mexico, where Great Lakes once stretched across the Valley of Mexico, one of humanity's most ingenious agricultural innovations took root. These were the Chinampas, often called floating gardens, though they didn't actually float at all. Like massive rafts anchored to the lakebed, they transformed swampland into an agricultural paradise. Picture yourself soaring above the Aztec capital of Tenochtitlan in the year 1500. Below, a vast patchwork of rectangular islands cuts through the crystal waters of Lake Texcoco. Each island is a perfect rectangle, typically 30 meters long and 2.5 meters wide, separated by narrow canals just wide enough for a canoe to pass through. These are the Chinampas, and they're about to tell us a remarkable story of human ingenuity. The creation of a Chinampa was a feat of engineering that began beneath the water's surface. Aztec farmers would wade into the shallow lake, driving wooden stakes into the lakebed to create a rectangular enclosure. Within this frame, they layered mud, lake sediment, and decaying vegetation, building up layer upon layer until the surface broke through the water level. But they weren't finished yet. The sides of these artificial islands were reinforced with woven reed fences, and fast-growing willow trees were planted at the corners. Their roots would spread deep into the structure, anchoring it firmly to the lakebed. The result was a raised field that sat roughly a meter above the water level, a perfectly engineered piece of agricultural real estate. Their roots would spread deep into the structure, anchoring it firmly to the lakebed. The result was a raised field that sat roughly a meter above the water level, a perfectly engineered piece of agricultural real estate. But the true genius of Chinampas wasn't just in their construction. It was in their function as a complete agricultural ecosystem. The canals between the platforms served multiple purposes. They provided irrigation through capillary action, with water naturally seeping through the soil to nurture crops. The canal water, rich in nutrients from fish waste and decomposing plants, acted as a natural fertilizer. During the dry season, farmers would scoop up nutrient-rich mud from the canal bottom and spread it over their fields, maintaining soil fertility year after round. The microclimate created by this system was remarkable. Water surrounding the Chinampas moderated temperature extremes, protecting crops from frost and extending the growing season. The result? Farmers could harvest up to 7 crops per year, an astronomical yield compared to traditional farming methods. Seeds were first sprouted in small plots filled with mud from the lake bottom. These seedbeds, called almacigas, gave plants a nurturing start before being transplanted to the main fields. Maize, beans, squash, amaranth, tomatoes, chili peppers, and flowers all thrived in this environment. The diversity of crops and the intensive farming methods meant that Chinampas could produce enough food to feed 15 to 20 people per hectare year-round. The scale of Chinampa agriculture was staggering. At their peak, Chinampas covered nearly 12,000 hectares around Tenochtitlan. These artificial islands helped feed a city of 200,000 people, one of the largest urban centers in the world at that time. The surplus production even supported a complex market system and helped fuel the expansion of the Aztec Empire. But Chinampas were more than just efficient. They were sustainable. The system recycled nutrients naturally, required no draft animals, and actually improved soil fertility over time. The canals provided habitat for fish and waterfowl, which added protein to the local diet and maintained ecological balance. When Spanish conquistadors first saw Tenochtitlan, they were amazed by these productive gardens seemingly floating on the lake.
When we saw so many cities and villages built on water, and other great towns on dry land, and that straight and level causeway leading to Mexico, we were amazed. Indeed, some of our soldiers asked whether it was not all a dream.
Tragically, much of this agricultural marvel was destroyed during the Spanish conquest. The colonizers drained the lakes to expand the city, not understanding the delicate balance of this ecosystem. Today, only a few Chinampas remain active in Xochimilco, a suburb of Mexico City where farmers still practice these ancient techniques. Yet the legacy of Chinampas offers valuable lessons for our modern world. As we face challenges of food security, sustainable agriculture, and climate change, these ancient floating gardens demonstrate how intensive agriculture can work in harmony with natural systems. Some modern projects are even adapting Chinampa principles to create sustainable urban farming solutions. The Chinampas remind us that some of the most effective solutions to agricultural challenges might be found in the wisdom of the past. These floating gardens represent more than just an historical curiosity. They're a testament to human creativity and a potential blueprint for sustainable farming in a water-stressed world. As our global population grows and arable land becomes increasingly scarce, perhaps it's time to look back at these remarkable agricultural innovations of pre-Columbian America. The Chinampas show us that with careful engineering and respect for natural systems, we can create highly productive, sustainable agricultural spaces even in seemingly impossible environments. In the end, these floating gardens tell us something profound about human ingenuity and our relationship with the natural world. They show us that the most effective solutions often work with nature rather than against it, creating systems that can sustain both human communities and natural ecosystems. The Chinampas may be ancient history, but their lessons couldn't be more relevant to our modern world.